In my updated and condensed 43-minute video about Hitler's socialism, the evidence is overwhelming, I talked about how the German policy wasn't privatization, but Gleichschaltung. The history books offered two translations, but native German speakers in my comment section were telling me that these translations did not accurately convey the correct meaning of the term. Arvid Koop says, "Hi Tik, as a native German speaker, I wanted to add that Gleichschaltung is even more than synchronization. It means something more like making everything the same, as the word is made up of two words which mean gleich equals same and Schaltung equals switching. So I would interpret Gleichschaltung as incorporation into the Nazi and state agenda and the interests of the state." Well, so important was this revelation that I made a post about it on the channel, and more German speakers were offering their opinions too. One said, "Gleichschaltung is a term from electrical engineering and describes the process of converting alternating current, switching between positive and negative voltages, 50 to 60 times per second, to direct current, which has no dynamics whatsoever. The English term is rectification. Rectification means correcting something or making something right. This by itself doesn't really explain much, but others added to this. Shmuel Krieger said it was about railroad track switching, where you switch tracks simultaneously. Mr. Spiegel responded by saying, "That makes sense, we're all going down this track together one way or another." But there was disagreement amongst German speakers. As a German speaker myself, I would slightly disagree. There is a word for incorporation, and that is einfügen. So Gleichschaltung doesn't mean that. Gleichschaltung means to put or make whatever the connect word equal. Put it on an equal level. Gleich equals same, and Schaltung mean circuit, so to make the same circuited. This actually goes in alignment with what Jim Knowlton said, getting on board. So it's like we're getting on board, we're getting on the same switchboard or circuit board, we're being directed, all in alignment, all choreographed, that sort of thing. So synchronized, like synchronized swimming, we're all kind of doing the same thing. However, Jim doesn't say if he's a native German speaker or not, and Arvid Koop, whose comment had made me post in the first place, responded saying, "I would agree that it means same-circuited, but Gleichschaltung in this historical context means much more than that, which is why I said that this is an interpretation." Krieger disagreed with Koop, saying, "That's not interpretation, that's an opinion based on what happened." I mean, that is what an interpretation is. You have assumed things which has nothing to do with that word. But has he? Because the Nazis didn't use Gleichschaltung to refer to electronics or circuit boards. They were using it in a political and economic sense. So Koop is saying, in this historical context, it means more than what the word means in an electronical engineering sense. That word even wasn't first used by the Nazis, but also SPD, which was a goal to achieve for SPD. Okay, a couple of things. First, so you're saying that the Social Democratic Party of Germany, the Socialists, were the first to use the term Gleichschaltung. That's a very important revelation, and I would like to verify that. If anyone can confirm or deny this using German sources, let me know. I know the Social Democrats, the Socialists, wanted to Anschluss Austria. I've been over that in the Weimar series, so it wouldn't surprise me to learn that they had several other policies shared with the Nazis. So please do let me know if you can confirm that the SPD and Nazis shared some of the same policies, such as Gleichschaltung. But secondly, you're saying that Gleichschaltung doesn't mean more than the electric sense of the word, and yet the SPD used it as well. So were the socialists using it just to refer to electronics? I don't think it makes sense for them to do that. Therefore, I don't think Koop's interpretation is incorrect here. But Krieger does offer his own explanation here, which is long, but he says, In fact, it is the opposite of making everything the same. Making everything the same is what a bunch of mutualists and anarchists wanted to implement. The Nazis and their ideology was, because we are not all the same, we establish a real Leistungsgesellschaft, which applies to every German as the same starting conditions. Google Translate tells me that Leistungsgesellschaft means meritocracy. However, that doesn't mean that they weren't in sync, or that they didn't want to get everyone on board. Krieger seems to think that Coop is saying that the Nazi policy meant everyone would be equal, but I don't think that's what he's saying. Gleich does mean same, but it's not used to mean equal. From my reading, the Nazis wanted a competitive environment, but working towards the betterment of the race. So to use an analogy, it's saying we're all swimming together in the same direction, even though we're not all equal swimmers. So I think Krieger is missing this side of it. But Krieger continues, Gleichschaltung in this sense means, as Plekhanov describes in his work Anarchism and Socialism, as transforming the society where every member works for all, not just himself. Exactly, nobody's the same, but we're all working together towards the same goal. Therefore, we're all on the same switchboard. He then proceeds to explain that the anarchist socialists and others like Trotsky wanted a permanent revolution, meaning it continued for the rest of time, whereas other socialists and communists believed that the revolution would be a one-and-done thing. So the revolution would occur and then it would end and you would have paradise. The anarchists believed it would never stop, and he says, and here the connection between Hitler's socialism, Hitlerism, and other communist ideologies and the division between them and the anarchists and every form of them since the First Internationale, where anarchists of every form were kicked off. The anarchists also were hard in favour of propaganda of the deed, killing people to wake wokeism up the society for a revolution, as saying, we have to kill some of you so that you wake up. We had to do so, to wake you all up against the state. Well, it's interesting because Hitler was in favour of a continuous revolution. Yeah, you can find statements by Hitler during the Ernst Röhm crisis of him saying that the revolution had ended. But before and after that, he and the other National Socialists made statements that the revolution would continue. You can read about this in Zittelman's books, Hitler, the Policies of Seduction, and Hitler's National Socialism. Highly recommended. So, while there is some debate over the exact meaning, it wouldn't be far off to say that Gleichschaltung is a synchronization, or a getting everybody on board and switching tracks, implying a permanent or continuous revolution, which, in the historical context, also implies that the economy and society would be coordinated by the National Socialist state. So it's a total revolution, not one limited to just the economy, which is actually in complete alignment with what National Socialists were saying at the time. The revolution we carried out is a total one. It permeated all sectors of public life and restructured them from the ground up. It completely changed and reformed the relationships of the people to each other, the relationships of the people to the state, and to the questions of existence. It was indeed the breakthrough of a young Weltanschauung. Now that we have a clearer definition and a better understanding of what the word means, it's clear to me that some of the historians were downplaying this. One viewer said that Shirer oversimplifies it, and I agree. I would also say that the historians who tended to use the word coordination are more left-leaning than those who use the word synchronization. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think they're trying to downplay the revolutionary and socialistic elements of National Socialism in favour of their privatisation and capitalism arguments. The problem is that people still believe the lie. Failing to watch more than 2 seconds of the video, numerous critics were quoting from glorious Wikipedia and bells against the mainstream, or were just providing their unbacked opinions to conclude that it was privatisation, with my viewers responding by pointing out the flaws in their arguments. Yet they continued to deny the evidence and doubled down on their stance. I even said at one point I am genuinely gobsmacked by how they're behaving, especially since some were even trying to say that Gleichschaltung was privatisation, even though that's absolutely not the case. The fact that so many of the critics could not watch more than 30 seconds of the video or understand what was being said is proof to me that it's not me. With the 5-hour video, they had an excuse. Yeah, it's 5 hours. I also put the definitions debate first, and they disagree with the definitions because nothing is ever real socialism. Therefore, I can sort of understand why they didn't watch the rest of it. They could dismiss it without having heard the hard evidence of what actually happened in the economy. But in this new, shorter video, there's no excuse. I hammered them with facts straight from the beginning. The privatisation argument was debunked in, the first minute or so of the video, and then I showed that the National Socialists took over the industries, the nationalisation via Gleichschaltung bit. So the fact that so many critics couldn't even watch 2 or 3 minutes of the video and double down on the privatisation line suggests that the problem isn't me. And this is important because for the past couple of years I've been doubting whether I've explained this properly or whether I've conveyed sufficient information in an understandable way or have been structuring the videos correctly. And a few of my viewers and friends in real life have said that they don't understand why I'm wasting my time arguing over this, or why I made this shorter video, and why I'm so obsessed with this topic, or why I'm doing myself down trying to get through to people. But in addition to providing extra information in a condensed and easier to access format that makes it easier for everyone to share with others, I think that this is a critical debate over what can only be described as a colossal distortion of history. I mean, it's huge. It's hard for me to focus on the tank stuff when there's this fire hurricane of distortions whirling through all the history books that your critics are telling you to ignore. I mean, I'm sorry, I can't ignore it. So I am determined on a fundamental level, almost to an obsession, of getting to the bottom of this. Everything else has had the volume turned down because, to me, this is so important. And people are in agreement. This is probably the most important aspect of World War II, which is still to this day being lied about. And I'm so glad that you're making these types of documentaries, Tik, to counteract the long-standing myth of the capitalist National Socialists. Biggerful also said, "This is my favourite topic of yours, including the videos on fascism public versus private, Hitler's vampire economy, and the follow-up supplemental and reaction videos, etc. They've helped me understand to the point that I've actually changed a few minds myself. Please let me know how you've managed to do that. Please keep it up if you have more. Any and all information and evidence on this topic is especially important in our modern day. This giant historical misunderstanding/lie is possibly the key to having a mass awakening to the control and oppression that socialism, Marxism, fascism, collectivism have held and still hold over the modern world." I agree. I think this is the most important thing that I'm doing. Stalingrad is special in its own right, as are many other topics, but this is the debate that I think is by far the most important. It's a glaringly obvious distortion of history that practically every historian has bought into simply because their ideology and or their indoctrination is clouding their judgment. They're even willing to ignore the evidence or twist it in ways that make zero sense. Worse, it's such a major flaw that not only is it helping the National Socialists deny the big H of World War II, but it's also affecting the way the vast majority of humanity sees the world. So, though some will no doubt disagree, I am of the opinion that I need to do more on this topic. I need to continue to engage in this debate. And bearing in mind, I have got through to some people. A while ago, this guy said that I've made him turn away from, in this case, his Romanian nationalism. Others have said the same thing. I'm sort of getting through to some people, but I need more help on this. What areas of the debate do I need to work on? Whereabouts should my focus be? Please let me know. Now, some have said that I should give up because you can't persuade the indoctrinated, but 3 meters disagrees. Persistence is key. If you only made your first video on Hitler's socialism all those years ago and left it at that, you'd remain a laughingstock remembered for saying something considered dumb by the zeitgeist. But now you've made so much more content on the topic over the years and argued with them that so many more people are persuaded by your claims. It's not a futile effort. Well, it certainly feels like it from my point of view, but I continue to hope. I think your next angle is actually researching modern third positionism and revealing their undeniable socialism. It'll be a powerful argument to hammer them over with. I can't even imagine how they'll respond to that truth. Yeah, that's kind of why I did the recent analysis on anti-Semitic propaganda, because I was able to show that the modern Nazi propaganda is anything but pro-capitalist. But I do intend to look into modern third positionism. I also think looking into Mosley and the British Union of Fascists and National Socialists would be a good idea. The name proves that there is a difference between the two doctrines, by the way. I want to do more on Italian fascism, plus some videos on the Soviet Union, all of which could help in this effort, but the problem is that I don't think they're listening. That's my biggest problem right now, and it's really frustrating because no matter how much evidence I throw at them, they're not going to listen. They're going to dismiss it, ridicule me, slander me, and so on. And so it makes it all seem like a futile effort, even though I'm really interested in these subjects, as are many of you. I'll be honest, I've been getting myself down about this. I've been questioning what I'm doing. When I come to read the books, I'm thinking, what's the point? They're not going to listen. And so I've been struggling to stay focused or even sleep because I just feel like I'm wasting time. So what's the point? Now, I know the silent majority of you are actually watching and listening and probably sympathise, and that's what I've come to realise. I've been focused on the wrong people. Instead of focusing on them, I should have been focusing on you guys. Instead of addressing their concerns, I should have been addressing yours. And I've been too wrapped up in this idea of trying to get through to them that I've missed the forest for the trees. You can only help those who wish to help themselves. You can't give people the red pill. They have to want to take it themselves. And they're so deep in the matrix that, well, there's no chance. I've realised that I've been too altruistic, too charitable. I've been trying to help others who do not want that help and aren't even asking for it. So as cruel as it might sound, yeah, they want it? Okay, let them be ignorant. Let them stay poor. Let them rot. Let them go through life as miserable as they are. They want that? Okay, you have it. Meanwhile, we're going to move on and we're going to leave them all behind while we grow, we prosper, etc. So I apologise for not realising this earlier, but you've got to remember I only unplugged from the Matrix a few years ago, and I think a significant portion of that indoctrination is still in me, so I am trying to purge it. But anyway, there you go. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Bye for now.